I want to tell you about Robin. Before she found the Empowered Business Society, she was buying every course, every workshop, every tool that promised to move the needle, and none of it did. She said the experts she was following were giving her completely contradictory advice, and she had no idea who to listen to. Then she had one real conversation with me inside the membership, and she said it changed her whole trajectory. That's what EBS is built for. It's not another place to pile on information. It's the place where creator business owners actually implement, get real feedback, and stay current on what's working right now in the AI era. We do monthly Get It Done weeks, live coffee chats, member show and tells, and exclusive training that drops straight into the community. Members like Robin, Julie, Anna Joy, and Lane aren't just learning, they're building and growing businesses that are ready for what's coming next. If you're ready to stop figuring it out alone, EBS is $49 a month, and you can cancel anytime. Come check it out at society.empoweredbusiness.co, and let's build something meaningful together. The link will be in the show notes. Now let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome back to the Empowered Business Podcast. I'm Monica Froese, and today I'm walking you through something I've been using inside my own business that has changed the way I think about email marketing and AI working together. Everything I'm sharing today is something I've done inside my real Kit account with my actual data. This isn't a features walkthrough. This is me showing you exactly what I built, what I found, and what it prompted me to create next. I've been on Kit since 2016. 10 years of building my email list, running launches, tagging subscribers, creating sequences, and sending emails. And I thought I had a pretty good handle on what was happening in my account. Today, I'm walking you through 7 specific ways I've used the Kit MCP to understand my email marketing at a level I've never been able to reach before. Some of what I found was validating. Some of it was uncomfortable. All of it was useful. So let's get into it. So before I tell you about the 7 ways that I'm using this new tool, I think we need to talk about what is an MCP and why should we even care about it. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. Stay with me because the concept is simple once you understand it. When most people use AI in their business, they describe things to it. You open Claude and you explain your situation. You say something like, I have a Kit account and I want to understand my open rate. And the AI tries to help you based on what you've described and what data you gave it. It's working from your description of reality, not from reality itself. That's a bit like calling in a consultant and explaining your business to them over the phone versus having them sit down with direct access to your account and data. An MCP closes that gap. It's a direct live connection between an AI tool and an external platform. In this case, Kit, which is my email service provider. The Kit MCP works with Claude, ChatGPT, Cursor, Microsoft Copilot, and any other MCP-compatible AI tool. I use Claude, so that's what I'll be referencing throughout the episode. But whatever AI tool you're working with, if it supports MCP, everything I'm about to share applies to you. When the Kit MCP is connected to your AI tool, it doesn't just know what you've told it about your list. It can look inside your account. It can see your real tags, your real subscribers, your broadcast history, your sequences, your forms, your purchase data. It can read that data, reason about it, and take actions on it, all inside a single conversation. This is a fundamentally different thing than describing your email account to an AI and hoping for the best. To make it concrete, right before I recorded this episode, I had the Kit MCP running live inside Claude. In about 30 seconds, it pulled my complete tag list, my overall email stats for the last 90 days, my subscriber growth data across multiple time windows, and the performance numbers on my last 500 broadcasts. All of it live from my own account inside one conversation. What came back was a view of my business I had never been able to see before. Keep in mind, I have sent over 5,000 broadcasts alone since I've had this account, let alone all of the sequence emails. So those are the automated emails that go out in my sequences behind all my funnels. Kit has built out their native MCP and put together their own examples and starting prompts. You can find all of that at the link I will share at the end of this episode. Now let's talk about 7 examples of things I have done with the Kit MCP in my own account. Now, a little bit of reference for you. I have had the Kit account I'm talking about since 2016 that supports the B2B side of my business, which is called Empowered Business. Now, I also have a secondary Kit account that supports my B2C business, which is Redefining Mom. One of the limitations, you could say, of an MCP is it can't connect to two accounts at the same time. So I did something a little unique that I haven't heard other people talking about. So I'm going to just put that out there for you in case you also have two Kit accounts. Since Claude is my main LLM that I'm using right now, I decided to connect my Empowered Business Kit account to my Claude account. I also wanted to connect the Redefining Mom account to get insights. So I decided to use ChatGPT, which I do pay for the Plus plan, $20 a month. And that has been working really well for me. I also want to say, if you are a big Claude user and you use a lot of skills in your account, I would suggest asking Claude to set a skill that knows when to call in the MCP. So for example, if I am writing a Redefining Mom email, it's going to think I'm writing an email and it can connect to the Kit MCP, but that's not the case. And I never want the Kit MCP to mistakenly put something into my Empowered Business account that's really for Redefining Mom. So anytime I'm writing an email, there's a skill that triggers that knows to route to the Kit MCP if it's Empowered Business, or not to route to it if I'm writing a Redefining Mom email. All right, let's dive into the 7 ways the Kit MCP is making my email marketing smarter. Number 1, I finally cleaned up over 1,200 tags. I want to start here because this is the one thing that made me cringe. When the Kit MCP pulled my full tag list, I had over 1,200 tags in my account. And before you judge me, I want you to think about how that happens, because it doesn't happen because I was disorganized. It happens because I've been building a real business for years. Every launch created tags, every opt-in created tags, every automation created tags. And then the launches ended and the sequences changed and nobody went back to clean up what was left behind. The audit revealed that my top tag category by volume was Thrivecart, with 110 tags, followed by Shopify purchase tags at 96, then opt-in tags at 45. And one of the most striking findings was that I had at least 8 different variations of a purchased prefix. Purchase Shopify, purchase Thinkific, purchase School, purchase Sendowl, which I haven't used since like 2020, which means if I ever wanted to answer the question, did this person buy anything from me? I couldn't do it with a single tag. What the MCP revealed to me was that I actually had a combined over 500 purchase tags, which is great. It means I've had a lot of purchasers over the years, but I had no single view into if someone purchased at all. Like just one roll-up tag that would account for everyone that purchased. So at least I knew if someone on my list was a buyer or not. With Claude seeing the full list of tags through the MCP, I could work through it systematically. With tags that had 0 active subscribers attached and could just be deleted, which ones were redundant and could be consolidated, which ones were still operational and needed to stay. What would have taken me days of manual work, hence why I have never done it, became something I could make real progress on in a focused session. If you've been on Kit for more than a year and you've never done a tag audit, I would be shocked if you didn't have tag debt. It is one of the most common, most invisible problems in an email account, and it is now one of the most solvable. Number 2, I analyzed years of broadcast performance and found patterns I never would have seen before. I finally had the ability to look at my email history across hundreds of sends in a way I've never been able to do manually. Here's what the data showed me. Over the last 90 days, I sent just under 1.9 million emails with 785,000 opens and an average open rate of 41.5%. But the broadcast level breakdown is where the real story lives. When I looked at my top performers by open rate, a very clear pattern emerged. The email with the highest open rate in the recent window was Claude was buggy all day at 47.6% and 891 clicks. Behind it was how I'm migrating my AI brain at 47.2% and Claude Cowork plus the Kit MCP close behind that. My 10 highest opening recent broadcasts all used either curiosity emojis, name character stories, or transparent behind the scenes framing. Every single one. And then I looked at my lowest performers. The bottom of the list was dominated by launch reminders and last call urgency emails. These are the emails most creators assume are the most important ones to send, and by open rate, they're the weakest. What that pattern tells me is that my audience responds most when I show up with something I'm wrestling with or excited about in real time, not a straight sales push, not a countdown, a genuine moment from inside my business. That's not a guess anymore. That's a pattern I can see across hundreds of emails and make deliberate choices based on this information going forward. All right, number 3, I use that data to build a system for daily campaign ideas. Here's where the broadcast analysis stopped being interesting and started being useful. Once I understood the pattern, I didn't just note it and move on. I asked myself, what would it look like to build a system that exploits this pattern every single day? Because if timely, in-the-moment angles consistently outperform generic promotional emails, the competitive advantage goes to whoever can surface the most relevant angle for their audience on any given day and connect it to something they sell. So I built that system. It starts with a product library. One of the things the dashboard revealed was that I didn't have a clean, queryable inventory of my own products anywhere. I have products on Shopify, products on Thrivecart, products on Thinkific, products on School. They all live in different places. So I used Claude Cowork to build a product library in Airtable that pulls everything together: product name, price, category, description, and the marketing angles most relevant to each one. Then I turned that into a Claude skill so it's always available as a reference. On top of that, I built what I call the daily AI news angle skill. Every morning, this skill pulls my live product catalog from Airtable, scans 6 newsletters from my inbox, matches today's AI and marketing news against my entire product inventory, and outputs a ready-to-send email with the product call to action already built in. It tells me which products have the strongest story, matched to today's news, rates the match strengths, and gives me 3 subject line options in my voice. The whole output is a branded document I can open and be ready to send within 15 minutes. But wait, the Kit MCP takes it a step further, because now, instead of it just being an output that I have to go take and copy into Kit, it also knows exactly how to write HTML in a Kit-friendly way, and it will push that broadcast into Kit. So all I have to do is open Kit, review it, and send it out. Listen, I've been writing emails for a decade, and I can tell you that writing emails from scratch by far took the most time out of my day. And what I love about this system is I am able to automate the parts that truly don't need me. I personally do not let Kit send without my review. I've worked very hard to get Claude to understand how I speak. It understands my life. With the help of these MCPs, the Airtable MCP and the Kit MCP, I am genuinely able to automate a part of my business that took me hours and hours each week to do. All right, number 4, if you've been following me for a while, you know I'm a data nerd, so this one speaks to my heart. I built an account audit dashboard that showed me things I never knew to look for. This is the one I want to spend the most time on because the dashboard Claude built for me revealed problems I didn't know I had and opportunities I didn't know existed. Let me walk you through the most important things it surfaced. The click rate problem. My open rate is 41.5%, which is strong. My click rate is 1.1%. The industry average for click rate is around 2.5%. That gap between excellent opens and weak clicks is the single biggest lever in my email account right now. The fix, according to the analysis, lives in body copy structure, single CTA discipline, and link prominence. My 2 highest click rate broadcasts at 5% and 4.7% both had a single time-bound link, one thing to click and a reason to do it now. That's the new model. The sequence sprawl problem came up next. I have 460 sequences in my Kit account. Of those, 218 were created between 2016 and 2022 and are still flagged active. Some of those are evergreen workhorses, but many are orphan automations from launches that ended years ago. And every one of those is a potential surprise auto-send that could reach a subscriber with stale brand voice or a broken link. That is a problem I knew existed in theory and had never quantified until the dashboard put the numbers in front of me. Next, the subscriber trend over time. Since 2020, I have brought in 98,000 311 new subscribers. However, in that same window, 106,805 have canceled. Womp. That's a net loss of 8,494 subscribers over 6 years. Even while building some of the most engaged lists in my space, the last 12 months alone was a net loss of 3,311. But here's the thing. The last 30 days flipped positive. 766 new subscribers came in against 616 cancellations for a net gain of 150. The trend is reversing, and knowing that the trend is reversing with real numbers instead of a feeling changes how I make decisions about list building right now, because now I can focus on what did I do in the last 30 days that flipped that trend. Okay, the next thing is the form duplication problem. I'm literally chuckling to myself about this one. I have 169 forms in my account. For every webinar I've ever run, I created 4 or 5 form variations for tracking: landing page, convert box, Facebook ads, rule triggers. That's necessary for attribution while the launch is running. After the launch ends, those forms just sit there. The account has over 100 inactive forms from 2018 to 2023 that are no longer serving any active funnel. The dashboard flagged every single one of them. None of these were things I would have found on my own, not because they weren't there, but because I didn't have a view of my account that let me see across all of it at once. The dashboard gave me that view. And with that view came a prioritized list of exactly what to fix and in what order. Number 5, I understood my unsubscribes and the real financial picture. I've known for a long time that unsubscribes were a problem. What I didn't have was the real numbers attached to it. In the last 12 months, 10,252 people canceled from my list. Now, some of that was list cleaning, but still, that's a pretty high number. That's a number that changes how you think about everything. Not because every unsubscribe is a failure, because people's situations change, list churn is normal, but because when you attach even a conservative average subscriber value to the number and look at it as a financial figure, you can't unsee it. And once you can see it clearly, you can make decisions about what to do about it instead of just hoping things improve on their own. If I run a re-engagement sequence and sunset the cold subscribers who don't respond, the math on my net subscriber count flips from negative to positive, even with no increase in acquisition. If I have the cancellation rate through better retention and re-engagement, and the net change goes from minus 3,311 to plus 1,815 for the year, that is not a marketing strategy. That is a financial decision, and I now have the data to make it. And with the help of Claude, knowing this information about my unsubscribes, it helped me craft a re-engagement series that honestly, I probably just wouldn't have done before, and it was so good. Number 6, I love because it saved me money. I replaced Zapier automations with Cowork workflows. This one is a little more behind the scenes, but it points to something important about where all of this is going. I run a paid membership called the Empowered Business Society. Members access it through school. When someone cancels their membership, a specific set of things need to happen in Kit. They need to be tagged with the cancellation tag, removed from member-specific segments, and the right automations need to trigger so their offboarding experience is handled correctly. Historically, that kind of cross-platform workflow lived in Zapier. You'd build a Zap, test it, maintain it, pay for it every month, and hope it didn't silently break the next time one of the platforms updated something. I have had Zaps fail quietly in my business, which means something that should have happened didn't, and I only found out when the downstream effect showed up somewhere unexpected weeks later. I now have that workflow running inside Claude Cowork using the Kit MCP as the connection. When a member churns from school, the workflow handles the Kit side without me touching anything and without Zapier involved at all. It's a multi-step workflow that runs on its own and knows what it's doing and why. For me, this isn't just about saving the monthly cost of a Zap. It's a sign that the automation layer in a creator's business doesn't have to be a stack of disconnected tools. It can be coherent, context-aware, and handled by an AI that understands what's happening across multiple softwares. All right, and the last one, number 7. I started generating campaign ideas directly from my subscriber and performance data. The last one is where I want to leave you because I think it represents the biggest shift in how I think about email marketing now. Before I had the Kit MCP, I would sit down to plan my email calendar and I'd be starting from something close to nothing. Maybe a launch coming up, maybe a topic I thought my audience was interested in, maybe an email that did well recently and I wanted to riff on it. It was all instinct and memory. Now I start from data. I know my highest opening, recent broadcasts all use curiosity-based subject lines and behind-the-scenes framing. I know that my 2 highest click emails had a single time-bound call to action. I know that my most engaged subscribers have been opening emails about AI tools, behind-the-scenes business decisions, and real numbers from my own business. I know which of my products my most engaged segments have purchased and which ones they haven't seen yet. That is a completely different starting point for building a campaign. Instead of asking, what should I write about this week? I'm asking, based on what my list has already told me it responds to, what is the most strategic angle I can take right now, and which product does it connect to? Those are different questions, and they produce very different results. The Kit MCP is what has made it possible to ask the second question instead of the first. And once you start asking the second question, it's very hard to go back and imagine your life without this tool. Okay, I've given you 7 things I did. Let me give you the practical starting point if you're not already connected. First, connect the Kit MCP. Kit has built this out and put together their own examples and starting prompts so you don't have to figure it out from scratch. Head on over to monicafroze.com/Kit MCP to get connected. The setup is straightforward. Second, ask for a tag audit. Pull your full tag list and start working through it with Claude. Look for tags with 0 subscribers attached. Look for redundant prefixes. Look for tags from launches and events that no longer exist. Even a partial cleanup will make your account feel way more useful immediately. Third, run a broadcast analysis. Ask Claude to look at your last 100 broadcasts and surface what patterns exist in your best and worst performers. Pay attention to subject line structure, not just topic. The pattern in your own data is more valuable than any best practices list someone else wrote. Fourth, look at the numbers you've been avoiding. Pull your subscriber growth across 3 windows, last 30 days, last 12 months, and all time if you can. Look at your click rate against your open rate. Look at how many sequences you have and when the oldest active ones were created. Fifth, ask Claude or your LLM of choice to help you figure out what to build next. Once you have the data, bring it back into a conversation and ask what it means for your next campaign, your next product push, your next sequence. You're not starting from evidence. I want to close with something that I think is super important. Your email list is not just a marketing channel, it's a business asset. And like any asset, it either grows or decays depending on how much intelligence you put into managing it. Most creators are not putting enough attention into it, not because they don't care, but because they haven't had the tools to see what's happening inside it clearly enough to act on it. They've been flying on surface metrics and gut instinct, which is better than nothing, but nowhere near what's possible now. When I look at my own numbers, I see an account with a 41.5% open rate, which is strong. I also see a click rate gap that's costing me conversions on every single send. I see a subscriber trend that spent years in decline and just flipped positive in the last 30 days. I see 218 sequences that might be doing more harm than good. I see all of this at once, clearly with real numbers because of what the Kit MCP made possible. Kit building a native MCP is a signal about where email marketing is going. The platforms that invest in making their data accessible to AI are going to be significantly more useful than ones that don't. And the creators who figure out how to read that data and build systems on top of it are going to have a real advantage over the ones who are sending emails based on a hunch and checking open rates and calling it a day. I have been on Kit since 2016, and I've stayed because they consistently build things that matter for creators running real businesses. This MCP is the most significant thing they've built for how I operate in a long time. Head on over to monicafroze.com/Kit MCP to get connected. The Kit MCP is available on all paid Kit plans. If you're not on Kit yet, you can start a free 14-day trial and have access to the MCP from day one. The link will be in the show notes. One quick note before I sign off. The link to Kit in my show notes is an affiliate link, which means I do earn a commission if you sign up through it at no extra cost to you. I want to be transparent about that. It doesn't change anything I've said today. I was using Kit long before the partnership existed, and I'd be telling you the same thing either way. All right, that's a wrap on this episode. Thank you to Kit for building something I was excited to talk about at length. If this episode was useful to you, share it with a creator friend who's on Kit or someone who's been putting off taking their email marketing seriously. The tools are there. It's just a question of whether you use them. I'll see you back here next week.